and welcome to the Brockton Candidates Forum 2021. I'm your host, Susanna Sudborough from the Brockton Enterprise, and we're pleased to have in studio today Mike Smith, who is a candidate for Ward 4 City Councilor. So thank you so much for coming in, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running?
I grew up in Brockton my whole life. I'm 34. I'm a homeowner. I've pretty much been doing stuff in the community to either do cleanups and try to build the city up for the parents-wise. Why I'm running is basically I got tired of talking to the wall. I brought up many issues and it falls on deaf ears. So I said, you know what? Maybe I could do this. I thought, well, maybe I can't do it because I'm not a lawyer. But I said, I'd try it. I'd give it a try. And people told me that you don't have to be a lawyer. You just have to care about the city. And I said, that's true, because I feel like a lot of the officials that we have, they don't actually care about the city. Me, I love my city. So I said, you know what, let me step up, and maybe everything that I'm already doing I can use on bigger platforms.
Okay. So in your mind, what are the most important issues facing the city right now?
I think the top priority right now is safety. The debris and the needles and the sharps that's found on the playgrounds and our schools. It's the lack of care, and I do a lot of the needle cleanups out here, and the amount that we're finding is record highs. We pretty much do a cleanup every week, and we find probably 60 to 70 needles within 3 locations, actually right outside these doors. We do Perkins Park, we do the churches, we do playgrounds, schools, cemeteries, and it's an alarming rate. And I'm actually the one that's actually going against the nonprofit because of how much they give away. So we're trying to pretty much have them go back to their protocol. So it's an aim focus on the safety. There's a lot of different safety aspects of the city and what we're going through, but at the same time there's nobody that's actually talking about it. So, you could look at all the candidates or our incumbents, and no one is mentioning safety, which that should be top priority. I think also the lack of businesses in the city, especially in Ward 4. And we have businesses that are literally leaving to go to another town. They're welcome with open arms. We need businesses here. If we don't, then there's no revenue. If there's no revenue, higher taxes. I'm business friendly. I'm pro-business. So I want to open my doors, and my phone's always on. They can reach me at any time. I want to build a relationship with these businesses.
So if elected, what kind of things do you see the city council doing to address these issues?
I want to pretty much give a platform for these businesses. I feel like these businesses are not marketed at all for the business that we already have. If there's no marketing for the businesses that we already have, how can we draw in new businesses? I feel like the city has been not business friendly for years, and I think that's something that the city needs to admit and admit when they're wrong. It's hard to draw in businesses when they're treated a certain way. I feel like the lack of friendliness and the lack of connection and building a relationship, where when a business tries to register their business at City Hall they get charged $175. The next town over charges $35. So they're already being nickeled and dimed at the door. I feel like that needs to that's something that can be changed quick. And then the fact that a lot of these businesses are not maintained property-wise, so we could maintain the properties that are up for sale, also release the list that is growing daily. There's 400 vacant properties in Brockton, but nobody can find out what these properties are because they don't release the list. That list needs to be released. That way our realtors can help the city to help sell them. And then as far as the needles, I brought different proposals to our mayor and different city councilors and city officials, state officials as well, and state representatives. And that's having that organization follow their protocol, but also putting shop boxes around the city and having that organization empty those shop boxes on a weekly basis.
Okay, interesting. So as a ward councilor, you would have to represent not just your ward, but also do things for the city as a whole. How would you balance the needs of your ward versus the needs of your city?
Okay, so there's always things that get brought to us where it might be beneficial to the city, but not beneficial to the ward. And the best way I can handle that is at the end of the day, I'm representing my ward. So if it's an issue that needs to be addressed to bring up the concerns, then that's what I'll speak on first. Then, at the same time, as Brockton, we are at the whole. So it might not be good for our ward, but it's good for our city, and what's good for our city we need to do. But at the same time as I will bring up these concerns. At the same time as Ward 4 has dealt with many issues, we've dealt with a lot of issues that would have destroyed another ward. At the same time as Ward 4 is still a fighter at the end of the day, and it's looked at as the Sahara Desert of Brockton. It's got its nicknames, but at the same time, it's still striving, and that's the thing. I will represent the city, but it's saying at the end of the day, I'm still representing my ward. So again, I will bring up the concerns, so it doesn't affect Ward 4 as much, and maybe put things in place where it doesn't affect the ward, but it still benefits the city, and. At the end of the day, again, I'm a Ward 4 representative. I'm a Ward 4 resident. That's at least the candidate that is.
Right. So what kind of issues have you seen Ward 4 facing in recent years?
The main one would be lack of business, like I mentioned before, and the non-friendly officials that come into these businesses and that are literally scaring these businesses away. These officials have no business being in their business at the end of the day. And we need to build a relationship with these business owners and their staff, ask them what their needs are and what their concerns are, and help them. Mainly it's businesses over there in that area. And it's literally turned into a parking lot. Look at the Kmart area. The Kmart area has been like that for years. They're just now getting the jumpy house area, but we still don't have stuff for our families to do on the weekends. There's still a lack of groceries departments in that area as well, and that's the concerns that we hear. But again, and then still the safety. They're still flying up and down the street. We definitely need speed traps placed in certain areas to maintain.
Okay, absolutely. Now getting into some more specific issues. A few years ago, the city entered into a trash agreement that resulted in smaller trash cans. This decision resulted in homeowners having to purchase the specific city-approved trash bags and having a lot of overflow. So these bags have seen a 25% increase in cost over the last couple years. Whereas I'm sure you know, just normal consumer trash bags can be purchased for much less. If elected, what do you think the city could do to try to address this issue?
I spoke with DPW. I actually went over there a few weeks back. I met with the director, and he expressed the concern on their end as well, because it's costing them more when this first started, and now of course they had to go up on their prices. So it's being handled, or actually the issue is on both ends, but at the same time as this is the only company that really handles our trash. We can try to do something with the trash bags, or maybe give more for a lesser price than what it is, but I think the barrels could be bigger. I have always said that. I think because at the same time as the trash barrel is small, and then you get the recycle, and that's taken every 2 weeks. I spoke to them, and they said that if you wanted another trash barrel, recycling one, you can get one at, you pay for another barrel, they will take it for free. At the same time, they're taking the other one. So I feel like also if people were recycling more, it would be less trash in the actual smaller bin. At the same time as there is definitely a need for actually look at the dumping zones in the city. So when people start feeling like, I don't want to go all the way down there and pay the cost for that, they just dump it on the side of the road. So if maybe we worked with them as well to try to handle sometimes some of the costs, but at the same time as we also, as residents, need to look at ourselves, and that's going through actually recycling more. I do a lot of the cleanups out here, and the trash is everywhere. It's at an alarming rate than ever before. I did the Salisbury River. That alone was 100 trash bags. Wow. Three 5-hour days, 100 trash bags, furniture, propane tanks. The dumping is completely out of control. Wow. And there's needles over there. There was tents on school property. I don't even know how that was even allowed in the first place.
Yeah.
And kids are walking back and forth. So they don't know who they are. They can get nabbed at any point. So trash, like I said, trash and the dumping is definitely a priority. And I feel like a lot of these businesses need to be held accountable for their property, and a lot are not. At the same time as our city officials need to crack down on those businesses as well and hold them accountable to, if it starts at a fine, and then go from there.
Okay.
Maybe take those fines and put them towards the businesses that we own. That way we can cover the cost of that vacant lot.
I see. Okay. So currently the city council is elected every 2 years. A lot of city councilors and others in the city have said that's not enough time. So there has been talk of lengthening the terms to 3 or 4 years. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like the city councilors should remain at 2 years because those wards may not be happy with that councilor. And I feel like that, again, that councilor may think that that's not enough time. I think that's actually plenty of time because that resident have many issues with that councilor, but they're not actually taking care of their duties. I think that in that same time period, if they're not handling it, then next election they should be taken out. I feel like the councils at large could be pushed at 4 because they have a wider area, which is the whole city. But ward councils, I feel like they should stay at 2. As far as mayor, I feel like the mayor should go to 4, but I know that was ruined in the past, and that was the reason why it went from 4 to 2.
I see. Okay, interesting. And the other thing that's come up has been the possibility of changing city councilors from part-time to full-time job. What are you thinking about that?
If it goes from part-time to full-time, then that part-time to full-time rate needs to kick in. A lot of time too is the work that they're doing right now is considered part-time, and the pay is part-time, but at the same time as that council is actually doing full-time type of work for part-time money. If it is the case and they do give them full-time, then hopefully the rates match.
Absolutely. Is that something you think could be good for the city, going to full-time?
Yeah, because I feel like those councils can be in the community more, because I feel like the councils that we have right now have a lack of connection with our community.
Okay.
So they bring up issues that are not a concern to the community, because it's just the lack of being out there. They don't get their hands dirty.
I see. Okay. Yeah, so for these last couple of minutes, I wanted to give you a chance to let our audience know anything about you that we haven't talked about, and tell them why you think you would be a good fit for this position.
Okay. Let's see. Let's start off at I'm the only candidate to ever do a ride-along with our Brockton police officers in the history of Brockton. I did an 8-hour shift to see things through their eyes and to see the harder. I've been in the city my whole life, and they still brought me through areas I've never even saw in their eyes. It definitely shows that they need the funding, they need the equipment, they need the vehicles. We are fully understaffed. To have 105,000 citizens in our city, we have 8 officers per shift. On a Friday night in Brockton or a Saturday night in Brockton, we have 8 officers. That's completely uncalled for, and it's actually unsafe. I'm not saying our officers don't do their job, but at the same time, we need more of them. I've met with Brewster. I've met with our new fire chief, Chief Nadelli. I expressed my concerns about the needles. They know I'm going after these needles, and I'm making them change this whole protocol. This helps them because their protocol is when a needle is found by a resident, they have to call Brewster. Brewster comes in and takes that needle. I feel our first responders shouldn't be responding to these calls. It's our resources are being used for a smaller cause. I feel like when their needles are found, the company that's actually giving them away, they can do a hotline and use their company vehicles to come get them. I think the city needs some food trucks out here. I'm all for that. Like I said, I feel like the city we have a museum, but we don't have as much art as we could have. We could have our artists. We have many artists in the city. They could use that as a platform to grow and build their name as well. I'm actually putting together a food drive with John Hayes and Richard Monk, and we're gonna try to get them some needs within the essentials, and try to get some food in their stomach as well. But at the same time, it's also cleaning up the area as well. There's a lot of tents that are definitely being placed in a lot of areas of the city, and it's just the lack of programs being used, and the programs are not being promoted as they should, like the Champion Plan. It was just a great plan, and a lot of them don't even know about it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for your time.
I appreciate it.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have, but thank you so much for taking the time to help us get to know you.
Appreciate it.
And for everybody watching, don't forget to vote on November 2nd in the citywide election.